The following is a compilation of older reviews. Enjoy.
Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Scooby Month on Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. Make sure to stick around to the very end to see who will win a copy of this movie. Alright, on to the review. When news first broke of a crossover between two of my favorite franchises, I was ecstatic. Brave and the Bold is easily one of the most underrated Batman cartoons there is, and to see this version of Bat's return is wonderful. Some thought this pairing didn't make sense, but after just now finishing the movie, I can say, tonally, it fits. Obviously disconnected from previous Scooby-Doo canon, the movie marks this version of the gang's first encounter with the Caped Crusader, as they're inducted into the Mystery Analysts of Gotham. I thought this was a neat addition to the story, and could definitely be a slight hint as to how that future animated Scooby-Doo movie will function, with the gang being part of a bigger organization. As this is their first meeting, it's up to the Scooby Gang to help solve one of Batman's unsolved mysteries, which eventually leads to a new villain showing up, the Crimson Cloak. As far as villain designs go, something about him seems like he's a cross between a typical Scooby-Doo villain and a Batman villain. That's perfect, considering this is a crossover. Also, I like how it's not completely cut and dry as to who the Crimson Cloak is. There are plenty of clues throughout the movie pointing you different directions as to who he or she is, and it was a fun, wild ride to see that play out. And I like how the movie doesn't just end with them unmasking the baddie. In fact, the baddie gets kinda away, and they still have a lot more to do, and I thought that was really nice. Since I've been recently reviewing the new Scooby-Doo movies, I also can't help but note that this movie really does seem like a spiritual successor to that series. Unlike that series, it definitely doesn't have a problem with padding. Well, there is one moment that I think didn't need to be in the movie, and that's the car chase with various bat foes. It felt like unnecessary padding and didn't exactly add much of anything to the story. We already had Bats and gang fighting the Batman villains over at Arkham, and while it was not a badly scripted sequence, it certainly just didn't feel like it needed to be there. The only other complaint I can drum up is that the Scooby Gang and Batman being on the run from the police and superheroes, while certainly a common trope in superhero comics, did feel a little forced. Batman may be secretive and hard to work with, but the other heroes really should have given him the benefit of the doubt. In the end, this plot point also felt tacked on in order to generate some tension and extend the movie's runtime. The concept of this roadblock definitely could have worked, it just didn't pull it off that well in execution here specifically. But that's really as far as complaints go, at least my biggest ones. The rest of the movie is fantastic. There's just so much to love about it. It's humorous, the action is excellent and animated divinely, not to mention the moment when the gang dressed up as a Bat family. That was just perfect. And I couldn't help but notice that Daphne makes a really nice Batgirl.
You filled those suits well.
You're telling me, Batman. You're telling me. Since I'm still working my way through the Scooby-Doo franchise from the early days, one thing I couldn't help but notice is Daphne's usefulness. Now, I completely dispute the misconception of her being a helpless damsel in the beginning of the series, but it was interesting to see how useful she was in this particular movie, even if it amounted to rearranging the letters and words. This was a much better way to handle Daphne than, Scooby Apocalypse. And I don't know what's left to be said. It was just a near-perfect movie. Maybe there were a few moments where they sorta had to dumb Batman down to not completely render the Mystery Incorporated pointless, but those are sometimes the things you have to deal with in these sorts of stories. And it's not too bad, though Batman not knowing an anagram spelled out Edward Nigma was a tad bit glaring, but it could just be he wasn't thinking in that general direction. he still kicks plenty of butt and stretches his detective skills elsewhere. Scooby-Doo and Batman Brave and the Bold is a near seamless blurring of two of the most iconic series ever. It is a huge step up from some of the more recent Scooby direct-to-video movies, and I cannot recommend this movie enough. If you haven't seen it, go get it. Hello lords and ladies, welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. Something remarkable has happened. Something that if you told me 10 years ago would happen, I would have laughed, called you a liar. And that is the historic crossover between the iconic Scooby-Doo and Supernatural. In the latest Supernatural episode, Dean, Sam, and Cass end up sucked into a cursed TV and meet the Scooby Gang within the episode A Night of Fright is No Delight. What results is some of the best damn TV I've ever seen. It's a perfect mashup of the two shows. The blood and violence that comes with Supernatural mixed in with the innocent sleuthing that is Scooby-Doo. Mix them together and you get an explosively entertaining hour of television. From Dean relentlessly hitting on Daphne to the gang discovering the dismembered bodies of the characters staying at the haunted mansion. Their innocent reactions are hilarious, because you have to remember they are used to businessmen wearing masks. To them, it couldn't have been a real dead body, just some trick being played on them. But because this is Supernatural, it made them look kind of crazy. Dean and Sam get left flabbergasted as the Scooby Gang almost immediately go back to smiling and looking for clues just moments after seeing one of the Colonel's relatives stabbed in the back or cut up and left strung from the ceiling. It had me laughing out loud almost every second. Obviously not everything remains innocent though, as Dean's ogling of Daphne shows off the ginger sleuth in a whole new light for many fans. I can't find the episode online, so I probably don't have any footage to show off, but if you ever wanted to see Daphne's backside accentuated, or see her chest bouncing as she runs, well, Scoobynatural is for you. I'll just say this. God bless you, Supernatural. God bless you. Also, have you ever really wondered what would happen to the gang if they found out monsters were real? Well, that's here too. It's excellently done with the characters freaking the ever-living fuck out. Seriously, Fred realizes they've been chasing after real estate developers instead of, say, Dracula, while Daphne laments on whether she's going to hell or not, if heaven and hell actually exist. It's the characters as you've never seen them before, and it's a little tough to swallow at first. It's not bad, but when you see something so innocent as the Scooby Gang get tarnished, it tugs at you a little. I really don't want to spoil much else, as this is TV history you can't miss. I don't care if you've never liked Supernatural, you need to go watch this. It's easy to find on CW's website, and I'm sure there's reruns to be caught. Scoobynatural is amazing. It's one of the best crossovers I've seen since, I don't know, The Avengers back in 2012. It combines two series I'm in love with, and does both of them justice. The laughs are there, right along with the chills. It's like a more adult version of Zombie Island, where that version of the characters discovered real monsters and their entire worldview was shattered. Same thing happens here, but much darker. I can't praise this episode enough, but I'll shut up now. You need to go watch this. You won't regret it. And now I'd like to take the time to thank my patrons over on Patreon for supporting me. So thank you to Yasmin. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to see how you can become a patron and get early access to these videos and get more of a say in what I cover on this channel, links to my Patreon will be down below. Thanks for watching, and take care.